everyone. Thanks for joining us today. My name is Heidi Babi. I am an ISA, PCIP, CISSP. I work for Mars Corporation. We have been on the team together for 6 years. I think I've been there 7 years, so we're old hat. But this is my coworker, Jeff, and I'm going to let you introduce yourself, Jeff.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. So my name is Jeffrey Moy, and I'm also working at Mars. I've been here for about 6 years. I've worked at PCI as long as I've been here, but previously I worked at other financial institutions. I worked on security operations, incident response, and vulnerability management.
Fabulous. So Jeff is one of the best ambassadors for Mars that I have ever met. He got me this shirt. So I'm going to let him give you a little bit of background about the company. Okay. For those of you who haven't heard of us, like who we are, what we do.
Yeah, so Mars was actually started over 100 years ago in a very small kitchen in a town called Tacoma, Washington. So Frank C. Mars started a small company, and what was a small confectionery business selling Snickers and Twix, right, and
Milky Way bars,
has now grown into a global company where we have now expanded into pet care, pet food. In fact, Mars Pet Care is the largest retailer for pet foods out there. So we now have, I think, 600 manufacturing sites and over 3,000 veterinary hospitals.
Yep.
Yeah. So I always like to start these talks with a little fun fact. I actually just learned not that long ago that Mars M&M's chocolate was actually the first candy in space. It was part of the Space Shuttle Columbia back in 1981. And at the time, NASA was looking to avoid any sort of endorsements, right? So what they did was they just called it candy-coated chocolate. And M&M's was selected specifically for its thermal stability characteristics. So basically, in plain English, they liked it because it melts in your mouth and not in your hand.
Amen to that one.
Right, and and ever since then, it's been on every space shuttle flight up until the retirement in I think 2011.
Yep, fabulous. So. Thanks, Jeff. So Mars is governed. It's a family-owned business. It is governed by the 5 principles. We've got them up here on the screen for you to see: quality, responsibility, mutuality, efficiency, and freedom. These are factored into every decision that is made at Mars, and these are the principles that have actually made data security and therefore PCI a top-down, big, huge push at Mars. Like, we have 240-some CDEs across the entire organization, and every single one of those, not just the level 1s, but all the way down to the level 4s, we report out on PCI compliance and do assessments and business as usual on every single one of those. And that's a top-down push for us. So that's kind of what we're here to talk to you about today. We do PCI. There's 4 of us across the globe that actually do PCI for all of those entities. We are all ISAs, and we kind of live on the PCI SSC website. There's a lot of resources there. So we kind of wanted to give you our little guide to the galaxy. And kind of talk a little bit about like our favorite education opportunities, participation opportunities, tools, assessments. We are not here to do sales for the council. They do that themselves. But for those of you who are new or who haven't used these tools, they really are life changers. So yeah, we're going to talk a little bit about education. There's lots of education opportunities on that site. We're going to talk a little bit about participation. We won't go too deep into that because Mark is on right after us to give you a lot more detail. And we're going to talk about like the tools for assessments, things to streamline, tips and tricks. So we're going to start out with a little bit of education.
Right. So this is the area where you are starting out if you don't know anything about PCI. We were all there at one point, right? We didn't know anything about PCI, and we just needed to, some resources to look. So this is a great area for that. We've got FAQs, document libraries, global content library, and blogs and podcasts and everything, yep. And just a plethora of resources that are accessible.
Yep, absolutely. So he mentioned that there's, the PCI SSC document library. This is out there. This has all of the documents. It has the guidance documents, it has the SAQs, it has pretty much any information, all the tools that we're going to talk about in a little bit, all of that is out there. They also have the FAQ library. They have the global content library, which has now been moved to YouTube, and it's pretty slick. You can go out there and watch all of the videos from the last community meetings, and if you wait a little bit, this one will be on there too. So you can find all of that information, and I mean, if you want to go back and like look at when we first started talking about 4.0 and before 4.0.1 was a conversation, but the first intros, you can go back and talk about that and see, what was coming. All of that information is out there. They have knowledge training. This is not your certification program. That's separate. But the knowledge training gives you an opportunity to learn how to speak the same languages as your assessors. So it takes all of the PCI acronyms, terminology, verbiage, and it translates it into plain English so you can go back to your teams and tell them, okay, this is what we need and this is why we need it. Definitely a helpful tool, I think.
Right. And speaking of helpful tools, the blogs, right? These are quick, short articles. They're great. Just a couple of minutes, you could read it, absorb whatever details you need from it. I also love podcasts. I'm constantly on a run, so I need a way to listen to this material, right? So if you have Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube, it's available, right, for you. And the thing about, and most importantly, the webinars, right? So we all have all the certifications here. They all require continuing education. And so this is a great way to earn some CPEs for that, right? These are free. These are usually 1 hour.
Yep, they're about 1 hour long.
About 1 hour long, and they're just, they're great. Again, a great opportunity to earn some CPEs.
And they have live Q&A, folks. So like, this is huge. You hear something, you want to ask a question. You don't have to submit a question to the council, wait for a response. It's live Q&A. Definitely worth looking at. The other thing that I do want to mention, again, all of the information on the site is searchable. Folks, this is not a chat GPT prompt. Like, do not type in a question. Use a keyword. It's not even a Boolean search. Just literally use a keyword. Maybe sometimes two, you'll get right to where you need. But if you start typing a sentence, you're going to get way too many results.
Oh, I also forgot to mention the assessor's newsletter as well.
Yep.
That's also a great one. It's a nice little curated newsletter for everyone to read, and it's great because it's got the featured FAQ of the month, which I think this month was the 1220.
Yeah, I loved this one.
Alicia sent that out, and it's we can't accept one-page compliance documents or.
Yeah, if you ask somebody for their AOC and they send you a certificate that says we are PCI certified,
which I can't believe is still a thing.
Okay.
But again, I mean, it's a great resource to see what upcoming events there are out there, or any other new training training dates. So.
Yeah, because we're back to live training now, so that's huge. So yeah, there's just a ton of information sitting in there in terms of education. There's also participation opportunities. Like I said, I'm just going to gloss over a lot of this because Mark's going to talk about it, but the regional engagement boards, board of advisors, I ran for that this year, put my hat in the ring. Did not get selected, but it was a fantastic opportunity, and I got to meet a lot of really neat people, all of whom I'm happily networking with. There's special interest groups, there's participating organizations, there's the gear. Keep a close eye on those special interest groups. You'll hear the term SIG. That's what those are. They've had some wonderful ones. Recently, they talked about containerization and architecture for that. They've talked about, God, there's been a ton of them. I think some of the good ones, well, one of the ones that I'm waiting to see based on all of the AI that we heard about today is I bet there's going to be one coming up on AI. But they've had a lot of really helpful, and you can pull up the reports from those guys. The gear, which is for assessors. If you are not an assessor, it is not for you. But it's a pretty fantastic opportunity to participate as well.
Well, my favorite is the community meeting itself. Heidi and I have been participating in these since 2019, and it's great. I mean, when I first came into this, it was great to meet a lot of people. And actually a few years ago, we were attending one in Toronto, I think, and we had listened to a talk about giving back to the community, right? So we've been, you take a little bit of the information, but this is kind of our way of giving back, and I think that's very nice, and it's a very good thing. Another one I want to mention is obviously LinkedIn. I don't really use social media, but LinkedIn is one that I use, and a great way to connect with people, obviously, when you meet at these events, and a great way to stay in touch, I should say, as well. And also, the council has a lot of posts on LinkedIn, again, with dates and reminders of what's going on, so just all fabulous material.
Yep, absolutely. The other one is, and again, Mark will talk a little bit about the participating organization stuff. If you are a PO, they've sent out requests for comments. So as new standards are being built, new guidance documents, like new information is coming out, because as we all know, this industry is constantly evolving. They'll send out RFCs, and you can actually access the document early. You can read through it. You can provide your comments, because every industry is different. Maybe you can provide something valuable. Or if you see something in there, you're like, we're going to need like a 2-year lead time to put that into place. You can actually provide that information. It's really quite helpful. And I think that covers it for the participation. So we get to go to my favorite topic, which is the tools for assessments. I'm a giant fan of not reinventing the wheel. If something is already out there that works, I prefer to use it. And the council has provided us with so much. There are templates, there are guidance documents, there's data security essentials, there's a threat center, there's all kinds of listings. So I'm going to let Jeff kick this off with a little bit more about the document center.
Yeah. So, I don't know about you guys, we live in the guidance documents and the templates pages, right? What I love about the guidance documents is, as Heidi said, there's no need to reinvent the wheel. If you don't know how to create a diagram for a firewall, there is one in there, Firewall Basics. You could just take that and use it. I mean, there's really no reason to redraw anything. And I got onto the templates. So, Mars is a global company, of course, and we've got a variety of different business segments all over the world. And
yeah, like 80 countries. Something like 80
countries. and English is not the native language, right, for some of these places. And so what we find is there's oftentimes a little bit of difficulty in kind of translating. So the fact that you've got templates in different languages helps immensely. And it just makes our jobs a bit easier where, excuse me, we're not using Google Translate to try to figure out how to explain something. It's all there, and it just makes things a lot more efficient.
I literally just did an assessment this year with Royal Canin Brazil. And it was very funny because I have very limited conversational Portuguese, and they have absolutely fantastic conversational English, but it doesn't translate to the technical terms. So as we're going through the SAQ, there's all these terms that neither one of us know how to translate. So for me to be able to have the document in front of me in English, and they have the document in front of them in Portuguese, and we're actually able to have a real conversation about the information that's there is very, very helpful. So big fan of the document translations. Another thing that I'm a big fan of is the Threat Center. I don't know if any of you have gone out and looked at this. It has information about all of the current threats. Like, there's a screenshot up here, but like weak passwords, malware, phishing, remote access guidance. If you're going to turn this on, what should it actually look like? The Threat Center is absolutely fabulous. Definitely check that out. And then there's the Data Security Essentials Education Tool. I think I got that name right.
I think that's
yeah. And this is absolutely fabulous, because if you are brand new to PCI, if this is your first community meeting, if somebody at work pointed a finger at you and said, you're going to do PCI, and you said, what is PCI, right? So you don't know where you are now, not to mention where you need to be. This is where you use the Data Security Essentials Education Tool. And you can actually go through and evaluate your company and figure out, where am I now? And then you can take that information and you can check out the prioritized approach for PCI and the tool that goes along with that right there on the document library, and you can put together your plan for where do I need to be, right? And if it's still a little confusing, they have listings on the website. And I cannot say enough about these listings. Not only do they list all the PTS devices, they list QSA firms, they list ASV scanners, There's so many resources that they list on the listings, but one of the other things that they list is everybody who's certified as a PCIP, a PCI professional. These people can consult to you, folks. If you go through those listings and you find somebody in your location, somebody who you can work with, reach out to them and say, hey, I am new to this. I don't know what I need to do. Can you help me? They will mentor you. There's an absolutely fantastic lady that I know. I was actually on a panel with her a couple of years ago. She and I have become good friends. Peggy Nolan. She's wonderful. And she likes to refer to herself as a recovering ISA. Yes. She retired from that job, and she still has her PCIP certification and maintains that. And she does exactly that. She consults with folks. They say, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know where I am. I can't even figure out what my scope is. And she can come in and help them. And she can help them figure out ways to reduce scope. She's not a QSA. The price is very different. If you are in a company that needs a QSA as a trusted advisor and then will need a QSA as an assessor, those listings are there too. But people use them. They're fantastic. I can't say enough about the listings.
Yeah, it's all there.
So I think those are some of my favorites. Trying to think if I've probably forgotten things. I forget a lot of things. I'm at that age where I forget things. But if you have questions, comments, if there's more information that you want to know, our contact information's up on the screen. We are both on LinkedIn. We both like to wander around the conference center. Yeah. So yeah, absolutely reach out. Let us know. Yep. Also, if you have feedback, Jeff and I love feedback.
We love to have a chat with anyone. Yeah, any way we can help. I mean, like I said, it's part of us giving back to the community, and you know.
Yeah, and again, there's some stuff that we kind of glossed over because I know that Mark is going to do an absolute fantastic job of telling you about it. But yeah, if you get a chance, stay for that talk because you get a lot of information about participation opportunities that I did not cover here today. And I think that's about it. So thank you guys very much.
Thank you very much.
For this. We appreciate it.